And now, your main event. Introducing the hosts of Wrestling with Freddie, Jeff Dye, and Freddie Prinze Jr.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. It's been way too long. I promise our next hiatus will be way shorter. Welcome back to Wrestling with Freddie, and please welcome my full-time co-host with the most, Mr. Jeff Dye. How are you, sir?
Happy to be here. What a treat.
So we got big time news. It's sort of just in time for this show's evolution to discuss the more current stuff instead of just the history, which is what I used to discuss. The most influential man in the history of professional wrestling has retired. And that's insane. I would have sworn he would have died in gorilla position criticizing some young talent for doing something right. I never saw this coming, and it blew me away, man. Jeff, you love wrestling the way a kid loves it.
And I love Vince.
I know you do, man. What was that when you first heard it?
I was shocked, but I also was like, this is insane. That the season 2, episode 1, we're literally starting it today, and the same week, the biggest news to hit wrestling happens. Vince McMahon, who I thought for sure would just die in the ring, or he'd die doing, some sort of the fact that he's being pushed out or whatever's really happening over there.
I think pushed out, yeah.
I have a theory that he'll be back in a year.
Okay,
he's gonna go away.
I wanted to get into this because I kind of had a similar, because everybody comes back. John Laurinaitis has been fired before and come back. Bruce Pritchard was fired before and came back twice.
And it's pretty obvious why Vince is retiring. I mean, there's some stuff going on in the news. If you're paying attention, everybody knows about it. So it's like he'll go away for a year. Once all this kind of stuff is gone, it's buried under the rug, and then he'll come right back like nothing happened. That's what I think. Okay,
so as anticlimactic as that is, because it just defeats the point of retirement, I actually totally agree with you. And I'm not trying to be a conspiracy theorist. Ric Flair just said publicly, Vince promised me I would get back in the opening credits of WWE. Every promise he's ever made me, he's kept. And now Rick is back in the opening credits or opening segment of Monday Night Raw. And it's one of those things where when that episode of Dark Side of the Ring came out, it was, hey, man, you need to disappear for a while. Your behavior on the plane was inappropriate then. And in today's day and age, it's just going to be smashed on. So you have to go away. But when it all blows over, we'll bring you back and you'll have your thing. And I honestly think he's going to apply the exact same philosophy. He still owns almost all of the controlling stock. As a former WWE stockholder, there are two types of stock. Okay, there is the controlling stock. And then there's the stock where you have no say, but they pay out mad dividends. That was what was dope about it. So that's why I had it. So you have no say in it. He still, I think, has 80 to 85% of the voting stock. Where's he going to go? What's he going to do?
It's all he knows. It's not like he can get a job down at Ralph's or something. It's all he knows.
What hobbies does he have?
Nothing. All he does is create like wrestling. He goes in and says, no, that's not how wrestling's done. He's terrible about knowing what modern day wrestling has become.
Jeff, when I was on the jet with him, I was watching Richard Pryor live on the Sunset Strip next to Vince, and he leaned over and I swear to God, he said, "Who's that?"
Oh my gosh.
He has no hobbies, right?
This is it. So you can't make him go away. And also, I've been fooled before, Freddie. I remember being in my house with a bunch of friends. We're all crying because it's Undertaker's last match. And then the dude does a match in Saudi Arabia, and then a
$40 million match in Saudi Arabia.
And I don't blame him. I love The Undertaker, and I'm not mad about it. But they do play with your emotions. You think Vince is going to go away? No. We're going to watch next year. He's going to be the 30th participant in the Royal Rumble.
If Vince McMahon came out at number 30 for next year's Royal Rumble, I will get on my roof and I'll jump off the Golden Gate Bridge and I'll live.
What if he makes himself win the Royal Rumble?
Oh,
he comes
my
in 30th
God.
and wins. And he's like, yeah, right. No chance in hell. Like he's just going crazy. It'd be amazing.
Here was the one thing I did get excited about because I think there could be some change and not just small change. Because Raw and SmackDown are pretty much going to be the same. But with Hunter being back in charge of all creative, I really hope he's able to sort of, and this is me saying it politely, repair the damage that was done to his vision of NXT. Because there was a good chunk in time there where NXT was the best hour of wrestling on television. You saw smaller guys getting pushes, but they wrestled smart. You know what I mean? Like it's not like Hoist Gracie didn't take on a bunch of monsters in UFC 1. Like he did, and he beat them. And guys like Hunter know that stuff, and they've seen that stuff, and they're fans of the UFC. Whereas Vince was always like, oh, he's too small, he's going to get killed. And it was only like a very small select, like Shawn and Ray, right? I would love to see NXT get back. Because to me, it's like, I'm old enough to remember you can't do that on television on Nickelodeon, which is where the green slime started. Anytime they would get it was a sketch comedy show. And if they could get one of the kids to say, I don't know, then the bucket of slime from above the stage would just dump all over. And they'd be like, ah, that's what NXT looked like to me. I mean, they even did the splatter paint style of it, and it became very juvenile to me, which is okay because there should be wrestling for kids. But NXT was not that. In fact, it was the antithesis of that. It was giving you almost adult wrestling, which was good and necessary, right? Without it being too crazy. I don't like all the death match and blood match stuff. I'm too squeamish for that. So I still felt like I was getting programming more directed for me, but within that world of disbelief. And that's why I loved it, and that's what I'm hopeful for.
Yeah, I think that I bet you not one single person listening to this or one single person that we know in wrestling is disappointed with the idea that Triple H is taking over all the creative.
Except CM Punk. By the way, they had like the greatest, him and Punk had a thing on SmackDown when Punk was at his like height or just before it on that rise where everyone knew there was a fire under him. And he had this thing about straight edge, being straight edge. He had created the straight edge society, no drugs, no alcohol, technically no women if you're super straight edge, right? Hunter's looking him dead in the face, just gassed to the gills, and drinks wine with Vince on the plane. And he just no-sells Punk's whole promo and goes, I don't see what the big deal is. I don't do drugs. I don't drink. And he just looks him dead in the face like, go ahead and try to call me a liar. I'll fire you so quick. And Punk couldn't do anything. So that's why when Punk had that promo on Live Raw instead of taped SmackDown, where he had no control, like Hunter would blow promos on a SmackDown and to the live house audience go, don't worry, we'll edit it. Anyway, and he would just keep going because he's so gangster with it. But on Raw, Punk got a chance to kind of do his own thing and he let his feelings know. So this is Paul. This could be a huge chance for Hunter to stick it to him. I promise you, dude, Triple H is Petty Betty.
He's done everything. He's climbed the mountain. He married the boss's daughter. He became boys with the boss. I mean, he earned it.
Yeah, but now he could have a chance to smash CM Punk's new company. I honestly feel like he might try. I don't think he can. I think it'll just make each company stronger because they'll keep trying to one-up each other, and that's good. Jeff, how do you feel about co-CEOs in any company?
It doesn't seem to work, right? Two powerful egos, this kind of thing. But also, it's just a title. Stephanie's still going to run stuff, right? I mean,
I think she should. She'd be willing to commit violence to protect that company. And she always wanted to empower voices. She wanted to empower the women when I worked there. She just would get shut down by her dad all the time. They've got one segment in an episode. That was it. And I saw her fight the fight. And I saw times where she was like, today's not the day to fight the fight. Here's why I worry about it. And I'm not trying to just trash every agent that's ever existed. But it takes a certain type of personality to be what would be considered a great agent. And a part of that personality requires a tremendous amount of ego. Tremendous amount. Humble agents do not go far in Hollywood, in sports, in anything. Humble lawyers don't get very far either. When you're making money off the work and talent of others, it's very easy to get lazy and fat off the hog, so to speak, right? I've seen agents take credit for actors' entire careers where I'm like, wow, man, Vincent D'Onofrio is really great and solely solely responsible for everything he has. And you just said you made him. That's wow. All right. But this was a top dog out here, a top dog. And it was that kind of ego that was necessary. And the first couple interviews I saw with Nick, I was like, yeah, that's why he's a solid agent, because you could tell he's got that ego. And I just worry about that with someone like Stephanie, because knowing Stephanie, if she senses you're out to get her in any way, and I'll give him this, he was the company's agent before he came there. Nick was not the first choice, and I'm not guessing on this. I know it for a fact because I'm friends with their first choice who passed. Okay, I know him. Our kids go to school together. They're on the same football team. So that's how I know. He works at Fox Sports. He wasn't their first choice. So there's a lot of ego there. And with Stephanie, if she senses any threat to the kingdom her father built, I'm not playing, dude. Shane's not the one. Stephanie is a stone killer. She's a werewolf, but not just twice a month. Like, she could summon that power as soon as the sun goes down, and without you knowing, she will assassinate you, bro. Like, she is a stone killer, someone who should be regarded and at times feared, but always respected. So if there's plans for that, and if he did do something to get her dad out, she's not going to play games or mess around. The fact that they're still there together leads me to believe that he didn't, and that is more conspiracy theory stuff. But she doesn't play, bro. She'll die for that company, straight up.
Man, she's got that Vince blood. You know, she's daddy's girl. Shane's
so
mama's
chill.
boy.
Shane's so, like, he doesn't want any of it. At least that was my sense when I was there. He would come in the room, we would pitch ideas, and legit he would just go, okay. Shane Helms, the Hurricane, had this idea, and he wanted Funaki. Remember Funaki?
I love Funaki, yeah.
Ichiban, man. So he wanted to give him like one more little like TV run, and he goes, dude, I got an idea. What if it was Kung Fu Naki?
Oh,
and all of us were like drunk and fooling around. We were like, no, that's so bad, but we love it. And he starts going, that's my man, Kung Fu Naki. He's like, that man will down some sake. And he starts singing this whole song that he wrote. And so we're like, all right, dude, we're going to pitch this to Shane. And if this gets through, that's the funniest thing ever, right? So Shane walks in the room, and this guy DJ goes, hey, Shane, what about Kung Fu Naki this week on Smackdown? And Shane goes, okay. Just walked out. I was like, oh my God, Kung Fu Naki's going to be on TV. Kung Fu Naki's going to be on TV. And R-Truth rapped it for him. R-Truth rapped it.
A whole character just based on things that rhyme.
Bro, that's how much everybody loved that guy, though, that they were all willing to embarrass themselves even just to get him over a little bit and give him like one more little mini push. And that was like when I saw a lot of that brotherhood, which apparently doesn't exist there right now very much.
It's tough though. I mean, I always criticize wrestlers for being such children, and like it's always like some bickering, and so doesn't like somebody, and then so secretly best friends that nobody knows about who rides around in cars together. But when you have a whole company that large, traveling that often, performing that often, all dating each other, they're all like it's gonna be like a school. There's gonna be cliques, there's gonna be fights. So it's like I always gotta remind myself, yeah, it's a traveling circus mixed with like comedy club and gym drama.
That's how Vince describes it, though. He describes it as an old vaudeville show. That's his philosophy on it. A little song, a little dance. It's a bunch of carnies all together. It gets super incestuous, man. It gets super incestuous. It's a very random, low-key era where the numbers weren't great and people missed out on a few wrestlers like peaks, like the Beth Phoenixes of the world. Like when she kind of had her peak, it was at a time where Total Divas wasn't a thing yet, so the women didn't get that much love. So if she was going to get any time as a champion, which she should have had a lot of, they're like, well, we got to pair her with Santino. And so then she had like a thing with Santino where they both had a title, and Santino would do his comedy stuff, and then she would save him when he would like run like a girl. So it was this weird, low-key, under the radar time where we were all kind of held hostage by the whims of Vince and Kevin Dunn, man. Like one guy who loves wrestling, right? With all his heart, more than his family, more than his dogs, more than, I don't know if he has dogs, he couldn't, more than anything. And then this other guy who I never got the sense liked wrestling at all. Like he
Sure.
was trying to turn it in more to like the NFL or like Tyson versus Holyfield, which is cool, man. But it wasn't like wrestling. And so you just see this room of like, I don't know, there were probably 20 writers when I worked there. And it was just 20 writers throwing sand against a tidal wave. Bro, you could pitch for 20 minutes and Kevin would be like, well, I don't think she's pretty. And all of a sudden, like 6 weeks of story were just gone. And it's like, yo, B, what? Well,
Yeah.
Our champ has to be pretty. It's like, yo, did you think Mankind was pretty?
Yeah. Doesn't make any sense.
I could name, you could throw out a number of how many less than handsome male champions have existed, and I shall exceed it.
Yeah, exactly.
But it would be dead. It would just be dead because he would say one thing.
They put masks on a lot of these guys. A lot of these guys are so ugly they have to work in masks. Scary.
I'm like,
masks.
did you not see Vader, bro? Like,
what are you talking
What are we talking about right now?
That is a big pet peeve of mine with the women's wrestling. I don't need them to be hot. I want them to be good wrestlers. And also, Vince McMahon wants all these men. He's famously criticized for making all the men these big, giant, muscly freaks that look like they broke right out of a comic book or a bodybuilding magazine. And then he's like, but the girls, make sure they just really skinny and gorgeous with a lot of makeup on. You're like, that isn't – why don't you have the same philosophy? Make these women like a Nicole Bass or a Chyna or a, just these big, strong gals. That'd be better.
Bro, that's why I love that Jade Cargill in AEW, man. I literally was just like, bro, that's like a Greek god. Like, that's what they looked like in the books I read when I was like, that's legit Athena, the goddess of war. She's jacked. That's why I loved Beth Phoenix. She was a bigger girl. And, Kevin Dunn had his opinions, which were wrong. You know what I mean? Because she could work and she was attractive too. It didn't matter if she was thick and broad. It could bench press you and your crew. Like, who cares, man? Like, she looked badass. It's not like the fabulous Moolah was, Trish Stratus, and people paid money to watch her wrestle. You know what I'm saying? So it was always frustrating working there with them. The Bellas kind of broke through, but they had to break through while existing within that mold that WWE demanded they existed.
Yeah, well, and that's just what's so crazy about it. It's like, it's not like if these female wrestlers aren't hot, you can't put hot women on the show. They can be valets or managers or,
sure.
you can.
Or they could be the one that gets beat down.
Yeah, exactly. We don't have to only see hot models that are super small. I mean, like, no disrespect to any of them, but like the Sasha Bankses and the Liv Morgan, they're very small. They're like very, very petite women. Just compared to regular women, let alone WWE superstars. Like, that's crazy to me.
And I feel you on that. But my thing with that is to do the Rey Mysterio thing, right? Like, you can let them get it, but they can get to the top of the mountain, but they can't stay at the top of the mountain. Rey could get there, right? But Mysterio could never stay there because eventually the Undertaker would come for you. So that's actually a smooth transition to SummerSlam because Liv's fighting Ronda Rousey again in a rematch. And there's no way she can win this match. She can't, right? And if she doesn't, then why did you put it on her now? Like, I don't understand a push that buries someone at the end of it. Let me just run it down real quick.
Okay.
Riddle versus Seth Rollins. You watched that, right?
I like it.
Yeah.
Like it. Yeah.
I'll watch that. Rollins probably goes over and because he hasn't had enough wins in a bit. He's done a lot of jobs, and that'll punish Riddle and make him have to, work harder while Randy's hurt. Miz Logan Paul, I don't care about, but a lot of outside eyeballs, maybe that don't watch wrestling, will come and watch. And Miz sells for everybody because he's a G.
Well, I will. Yeah. So we'll put a pin in that one, but keep going.
McAfee and Corbin. What about that?
I like it.
See, I don't hate it either.
I was gonna say the same thing that and I don't know. I don't ever think I'm being a hater about this, and especially if they hear it themselves. The Logan Paul and the Pat McAfee thing. I wasn't expecting them to be as incredible as they were at WrestleMania. So I was so happy and impressed, and publicly was like, good for McAfee, good for Logan Paul. Like, that was so really, really unexpectedly good. But I don't know if I need to see them every week. I don't know if we're all going to be on board with now McAfee's an everyday character You got Logan Paul as I don't know if that's going to work.
Logan Paul will be a part-timer for sure because it's stipulated in his contract. That I know for certain. He'll be like 2, 3, maybe pay-per-views a year. And that might even be too many. If you argued that, I'd probably have to agree with you. McAfee on commentary is a delight. Okay. He is, I don't know if you like him on there, but I find him refreshing as hell.
I'm not very critical of broadcasters and announcers if historically. And I mean, we had Michael Cole for 40 years or whatever, it's like, I don't really, I'm pretty easy on the people in the announce booth. It's when they're in the ring that I'm going, I didn't want to see Michael Cole in a match. I don't want to see Pat.
He wrestled
I don't want
to
see Pat McAfee in a match.
But Pat did okay.
Pat did great, but not every day. I don't want to see that every day.
Because he's not a wrestler. I agree. I agree with that. Now, let's spend a little time on this one because the United States Championship is Bobby Lashley versus Austin Theory. And the assumption is Theory has to go over here because he's got the space shuttle launch connected to him. I'll give him this. He's gotten way better. And the pressure is on him. I didn't think he was ready for the push they were giving him, that they're currently giving him. I still don't think he's 100% ready. But holy crap, man. Like from the first one where you knew like, oh, this is the guy, that promo was tough to get through. And the next one started a little iffy, but all of a sudden, like he kind of found a rhythm and I was like, hey, all right, this guy's doing it. And my 12-year-old wasn't even dumping on it. And my daughter, if she thinks a promo's whack, she's going to be such an actress. She's like, Dad, did they even remember their lines? Like, da-da-da-da. And she starts like breaking it down. And she even said, Dad, he's getting better. I said, yeah, you're right. And then the last one he did, I was like, wow, man, he's starting to figure some things out. He's still super duper green to be like a lead, right? It would be like Brad Pitt and Thelma and Louise is where you'd want to cast him right now. Like he's got that great role that you remember and you go, all the women are like, oh my God, look at his abs. And all the guys are like, dude, that guy's kind of a stud, but he wasn't the lead. Right. And they're already like, yo, here, you're Clark Gable. And I just don't think he's ready for that, but he's getting there whether I agree or not, because Lashley has to lose, right? Or do they slow him down a bit with this?
I can't think of an ending to this match that I'm going to understand at all. I don't get why the match is even happening, if I'm honest.
That means they didn't build the story up right, man.
Yeah. It's I mean, I like Austin Theory. I don't think he's the face of the franchise, although that's what it looks like is happening, which could change now that Vince is gone.
I don't know how many of us thought John Cena was going to be the face of the company when he was rapping.
Yeah, I never thought he would be either. In fact, I hated the rap stuff. I hated the Cena rap stuff.
I wasn't a fan.
Every time it came out, I go, what is this? Why is this happening? I couldn't understand if it was good or bad. And then he's like being sexual with the boss's daughter. I'm like, I'm going, hey, get this guy out of here, the rap guy.
So this is actually a match that my second favorite that I'm looking forward to. And it's the Usos versus the Street Profits. I love tag team wrestling. I don't want to say because I don't think it needs it.
Who's it with? This is not just your everyday match.
Is a special guest referee. And I got love for Jeff Jarrett. I loved when he was figure four-ing everybody every week, whether they were wrestlers or workers in the back, men or women. He didn't care. But I don't think this match even needs a special guest referee. The Street Profits are great. Montez Ford is a superstar. I hope they don't break him up because he could actually make a tag team story mean something. And one really hasn't since New Day and the Usos built their way up to that crazy bamboo match. But I love these guys together. I think they're great. I love the Usos. And I have a soft spot for tag team wrestling. I just don't know. I don't see why they have to have a special guest referee. The SmackDown Women's Championship we talked about. Liv Morgan versus Ronda. I don't think Liv can win. As you can't, which means I don't know why you pushed her yet. I don't know why you didn't wait unless somebody's injured and she was just going to be a quick temporary champion. But man, that's a shame. But so let's move on to the Raw Women's Championship. The best championship currently in the WWE, and it's held by Bianca Belair, which it should have never been lost by. And she's going up against everybody's backstage favorite wrestler, Becky Lynch. People are mad. The fans love her. Becky Lynch is the most over female wrestler in the world.
Ever.
Maybe not ever. Trish Stratus would probably beg to differ.
Okay.
I don't know if Charlotte's as over as, maybe she's over as a heel, but as a face and a heel, Becky pulled both off, man. And give credit to Ronda for her part in that as well. And the bloody nose moment was great. You know, that really solidified her. But when you are the top, there's a lot of pressure, and I get that. And you always want to make sure your matches are going to be great and with people that are going to be great. But you got to wrestle somebody.
Yep.
Yeah. It can't be Charlotte Flair every time. You know what I mean? It can't be Asuka because they made it so she doesn't mean what she meant in NXT.
Yeah.
They booked her so she just yells and does goofy stuff instead of being this badass killer that she came to NXT as and continued to be in NXT. She ran through people in NXT. So to finish off on that, I love Bianca Belair. She's still, they pull everyone up too soon, right?
Right.
And everybody has to learn how to act and how to get over on the mic on the job in front of a live audience, which is still the most psychotic thing in the world to me. And she still has a little ways to go. I feel like she would be further down the road if they hadn't taken that belt away from her in 16 seconds or whatever it was, which was just ridiculous. But she's not 100% on the mic yet. Not yet. I've seen her execute strong moments on the mic, but I've also seen it get a little too much as far as whoever's writing for her. It's just, I'm sure it looks good on the paper, but a lot of times as the performer, it just sounds weird in your head, because it's not in your own voice. And I think that's what's going on with her sometimes. But I love me some Bianca Belair. I think she's great. My daughter freaking worships her. She loves seeing a strong, thick, big, muscular woman up there. You could tell Bianca Belair could deadlift more than you and me combined, plus 10 more on each side. And it's a healthy woman. I like seeing that. In Hollywood, there's not too much of it. So it's good to see the difference on TV.
As much as I prefer Becky to win over Bianca Belair, I just think they did Bianca real dirty when she had her lose in 30 seconds. I was like, why would the company do that?
So the main event is the champ that everyone used to hate, that everyone used to boo Vince for, and criticize Vince for you're pushing him so hard. Well, now they love him. Now, maybe a big part of that is because they got him with Paul Heyman, but he has really gotten great on the mic. He owns this character, and now people love and celebrate him, but he's going against somebody that everyone loves and celebrates far more. And that is the beast incarnate, Brock Lesnar. What do you got, man? You want to bet money on this match? What do you want to do?
I love both of these guys. And I've been on Roman and Brock since the beginning. I never understood why people were hating so much on it. It's Roman Reigns got a good look, good size, great moves. He's got he's got 5 moves that and you wait for and you get excited to see. Also, Brock is just a perfect freak of what old circus wrestling was supposed to be. You roll out the cage and let this freak come out and just scare everyone.
Open challenge. So yeah.
And I am pretty, I can be very judgmental of wrestlers, and these are 2 guys that I really love. But if I had to pick, I think Brock gets the win.
I will bet you a Ulysses S. Grant $50 bill. I have no inside information. I will never make a crooked bet on you. And I will take Roman Reigns defeating Brock Lesnar, even though I think Roman's shoulder might be hurt. And he needs time off.
Needs a little bit of time off. That's also affecting my
from the last time they wrestled. But it's a last man standing match, which is always a fun story to tell. I love the count out aspect of it. It's like old Jim J. Braddock boxing with the referee counting them out in slow motion because a WWE count out is a minute and a half for 10 seconds. But I'll definitely tune in for it. I know I've seen it before, but it's not when they did John Cena and Randy Orton like 16 times in one calendar year as a main event. So I can stomach one more, and there's a nice little glitch with the last man standing element to it. Hopefully Roman comes through and gets me my 50 beans.
Yeah, I just Googled Ulysses S. Grant. Turns out he is on the $50 bill. You're right.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
I know my American currency.
Yeah. He looks like a real scary guy, too.
All right, well, listen, episode 1, done. Season 2, with you. Welcome to the Federation, my bro.
I love it. Happy to be here. I'm excited to talk wrestling and actually have someone hear it, you know? It's not just us talking wrestling. Now people can hear it, too.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you all for listening. We appreciate you guys. Don't forget to give us those 5-star reviews. You guys have been doing that a lot lately. It's been moving us up the charts. I really, really appreciate that. This has been a production of iHeart's My Cultura Podcast Network. For more podcasts from iHeartRadio, visit the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your favorite shows.